Welcome to Aloha at home on Giving Tuesday now. I have to type a quick comment. Okay, how are you guys doing? Where are you? How are you? Did anything good happen today or recently? Is there anything you're grateful for? Sorry, I'm just typing a comment real quick. Gracie says hello, which is what she tends to do. I shall now try to pin the comment. Guys, I don't know how to pin the comment. All right. I tried to pin a comment. It is not. Oh, wait, I did it. Okay. All right. We're here. Gracie's eating the notes. Let me push this down a little. Thank you for your patience. As always. Hope everyone's doing all right. Thank you for being here. Palm Springs, France. People are joining us from all over. That's Gracie's little pink hoodie hanging up. Sorry for the funny light right there. There's my puppy. Oh, thank you guys for being here. Today is a special edition of TWLOHA at home. That is my dog. We have 4 awesome guests for you. So if you did not already know, I will be joined in a minute by our executive director, co-executive director. We have 2, Lindsay Kolsch, to talk really about kind of the heart of today, the fundraising aspect of today, and why Giving Tuesday and this new Giving Tuesday Now are significant for nonprofits and specifically for To Write Love. And then we will get to Stefan Montesarin, who is a licensed counselor with Solace Counseling in Orlando. And Stefan is also a TWLOHA board member. So I'm excited for you to meet him. And then we get to Chris Sullivan, who you may know as Toby on the show This Is Us. Gracie's getting tangled, you guys. We're doing our best. And then last but not least, we have Morgan Harper Nichols. And we're super grateful that Chris and Morgan are joining us for the second time. We've had both of them on recently. I'm going to point this down a little. So I hope you're doing okay. We know this is still a hard time for a lot of people. We know that folks are in all sorts of different situations, different places around the world. We know that some people are just worried about basic needs. Other people, maybe it's your mental health. Obviously, we know all these things relate, that it is things maybe were already hard 2 months ago, and maybe they feel exponentially harder right now. So part of why we do this is to create a space where you can feel less alone, where you can feel connected to other people, and that you would leave this time encouraged. And so for me, it's been a privilege to host these and to have conversations with different friends of the organization. A couple quick announcements before I bring Lindsay on. Our Run For It 5K is coming up Saturday, May 16th. That is a virtual race. We typically have the race where we gather together in Florida. Obviously that can't happen this year, but we're really thrilled to be able to offer the virtual race. And we will have people running and walking in all 50 states and in countries around the world. We have set a goal of raising $85,000. We're more than halfway there. We're at $56,000 raised. You can learn more, whether that means participating, whether that means fundraising, at runforit5k.com. Again, that's Saturday, May 16th. So plenty of time to sign up, get involved. Our podcast is back, the To Write Love on Our Arms podcast, and we've launched a special mini-series to go with our Black and White campaign for the month of May. And you can find that TWLOHA.com/podcast. You can also find it on our Fear Won't Win landing page, which is front and center when you go to TWLOHA.com. Last but not least, 320 Fest is coming up, and I have the privilege of being on a panel called Social Media, the Age of Anxiety. And it's a 3-day online event, and my panel is happening Saturday, May 9th at noon Pacific, so 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's 320 Fest. It is the intersection of music and mental health. So many great names, so many great artists, people from music, but also people who work in mental health. And we are excited and honored to be invited to be part of the first ever 320 Fest. And again, May 9th at noon Pacific, I will be on a panel, and we'll keep you posted. I'll touch on that at the end of this show as well. Want to mention you can donate throughout this Instagram live. That's not the only reason we're here, but that's a big part of why we're here. And with that, I'm going to bring on Lindsay Kolsch, and she's going to tell you more about this special day. So Lindsay is joining us.
Hey, Jamie.
Hi. Hi, friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for being here.
You know, it's always weird when you get added on because there's like time compresses.
Oh,
and it's like I just 2 minutes of my life was like, oh, where'd that go?
I know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thanks for letting me come on and share about Giving Tuesday Now. Today is a really interesting and wonderful day, something I've been looking forward to. We got to talk a little bit about the heart and the spirit behind Giving Tuesday Now. For folks who are maybe new to that term or to even what Giving Tuesday is, usually there's a day after Cyber Monday and Black Friday where it's a giving holiday. It's a day to kind of counteract the consumerism, all of the frenzy spending that we do at the end of the year. And it's really a day to just acknowledge the work of nonprofits and to support what they're doing and to help enable them to move into the next year. And so Giving Tuesday Now is new, like you said. It's today. It is a day of global generosity that is a little different in spirit, I would say, than the normal Giving Tuesday. It centers around the idea when COVID-19 became this global pandemic and we all realized that the entire world is facing these new challenges of being physically distant, of facing losses, of facing the mental health challenges. They basically just wanted a day where they could acknowledge that there's tons of nonprofits out there that, in addition to those meeting like the COVID-19 needs, which have been ongoing, there's nonprofits that serve different needs of communities across the country and across the world. And so Giving Tuesday Now was sort of created in that hope that we would allow and kind of give communities an opportunity to heal through generosity. And so it's really an invitation, which I think is incredibly beautiful. It's something that I've been talking to our team and our fundraisers who are part of our Run For It 5K right now, and even our TWLOHA Blue donors, just this idea that a lot of people need the invitation to be invited into sort of giving into doing something in this season. I've been talking to this awesome supporter, Andy, who connected, and he just said, I need to do something and I can do something. I'm in an okay spot. I really need to do something. So he started a fundraiser and has been, commenting on the idea or the fact that right now mental health conversations are so important. And so I want to touch base on that a little bit more, but just wanted to come back to this idea of generosity, that we do all have something to give. When you think about giving, I know that there's a donate button, and that's really awesome. And I'm seeing people give. Oh, did you see Chris's comment?
Yes.
Okay, let's make that known real quick. If we can raise 250 by the time I'm done talking, which he'll be on after Stefan.
After Stefan,
he's going to give. That's amazing.
$1,000. Yeah.
$1,000. So hey guys, let's answer the challenge here. That would
be
incredible.
We're at 65 now.
Okay, can people see that as it's coming?
I believe so. This is all new to me, but
yeah.
We're at 65. Chris is saying if we can get to 250 in the next little while, he will give 1,000. So that's amazing. Yes.
Wow, what a wonderful surprise. So I was just saying that the idea of this day of generosity of giving even a small amount. I think right now there's so many needs, and if you're somebody who has a little bit of room or a little bit of margin in your month to maybe give $10 right now, it can go a really long way. We believe that the conversations that we're having here on the live, the conversations that are happening in the podcast, on our blog during Mental Health Month, and even throughout the year, $10 is going to allow 500 people to really access all of this content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free. And so we really believe in the stories that we're sharing. We believe in how it reaches people and the responses that we get when it reaches people. And so $10 matters. We've already had 4 people give, and we can definitely, another donation came through.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5. That's amazing. That's 250 people, guys. So I don't want anybody to discount this day of generosity. $25, we'll get to talk about this a little bit more, but $25 will help connect people to help through our Find Help tool. It's one of my favorite moments when you guys do on the live where you talk about the Find Help tool. It's something I get excited about just when it's brought up, because we all know that navigating and finding mental health resources is really challenging. We're never really trained how to find a counselor. We're not trained how to kind of navigate what resources do I need. So our Find Help tool, you go to our website, TWLOHA.com/findhelp. You put in your zip code and what care level you're looking for. So that can just be counseling or maybe a support group or online support group. And it's going to bring up all of these resources that have sort of been created to simplify your journey. It pulls up free and reduced cost services as well. So if finances are a burden or a barrier, we can help remove those. And they also have providers that we've connected with. So Solace Counseling is somebody you'll find on that tool, where we have scholarship funds established, or maybe, oh my gosh, wow, I just looked down and we're at $1,700. That's amazing.
Whoa.
That just jumped. That's incredible.
Amazing.
So I just completely lost my train of thought here. Wow, guys, that's amazing. Okay, so I was just saying about the resources. We want to make that a simple place to sort of navigate when it's the hardest season that a lot of people are in. And so $25, a gift of $25, that would allow 150 people to search through that tool and use that tool. And so they might sound small, $5, $10, $25, but it really all adds up to allow us to have this conversation now, in the days and weeks to come. And then the second part of something I really wanted to highlight, and we got to talk about this a little bit, is when we think about generosity today, I want to encourage people, if you're really in a position, you just cannot give $10. In fact, you need additional assistance, I would point you to the Find Help tool. There are COVID-19 resources there that will help with food insecurities or food needs. Also talk about assistance for rent and other really practical things that all impact sort of how people deal with this difficult season. But I would say that there is one thing that I think we all can give today. There's one thing we all have, and I think that's our voice. So we all have the ability, if you're watching this on Instagram, I'm certain of this fact that you have the ability to share how mental health has impacted your life. If you are someone who struggles personally, simply saying, mental health conversations are important to me today. I'm standing with TWLOHA on Giving Tuesday now. That is going to be huge. I think you've seen it, I've seen it, we've seen it almost daily, which is quite a privilege, but we've seen that people, when other people share their story, when other people just simply say, hey, I've struggled with depression, or I'm taking medication, it gives people permission to really talk about their own experience, or to connect with that person who is sharing and say, hey, I've got some questions for you. I'm not really sure how to talk to my family about this. And you become a safe person, you become a safe place. And I think we cannot underestimate that right now. We can't underestimate what our voices and sharing our stories are going to mean for this season, the COVID-19 season. And then also, when we're looking past it, when we're looking toward the world that we all want to live in, the world that we all dream of, the day where it's okay to mention your mental health in conversation, just like it's okay to talk about the weather. I mean, that would be the day that Trite Love may not need to exist anymore. So let's put ourselves out of a job in a sense.
Yeah, I know. I won't speak for you, but we had a board meeting. The days run together. Was that last week? Board meeting?
I think it was last Monday. Or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So we had a board meeting around a week ago, and I feel like I was really encouraged, especially by what our friend Chris Hewerts had to say, just really encouraging and reminding us of the need for this organization and for the work and ultimately the mental health conversation. And so I wanted to ask you about that and maybe attach it to a phrase you taught me a little while ago, these two words, tragic optimism, and sort of what
Yeah.
that has you thinking about and maybe even excited about right now.
Yeah. Tragic optimism. I was introduced to the phrase, I won't take any credit for it, but it's this concept that Viktor Frankl developed and talked about, where humans have such an innate and amazing capacity to, out of struggle, out of hardship, to create positive or create growth or something that's new. And so as we mourn and kind of grieve the losses, the real, tangible, physical, financial, all the losses that are coming along with COVID-19, I think the thing that's had me sort of, I've just been thinking about it and talking about it with other donors and other fundraisers and just even our board, and just this idea that, like, if there ever was a time where it was okay to talk about your mental health experience, it feels like this moment in time is it. It's like, it's okay to start a Zoom call, which I've done many times. So I'm just speaking honestly about my own experience to say, you know, you do the check-in, the little chit-chatty, like, oh, you know, how you doing? How's it going? And you're like, terrible. It's terrible. I have a 5-year-old in the other room and it's really hard. And so I'm really grateful that we get the chance to be safe and to connect, but things are hard. And so getting to share our experience, our anxiety, our struggles with depression, as so many of us are facing isolation and all of the things that are kind of just being, what's the word, compounded by this experience that we're all going through. It feels like we all have permission to just to be human, to be transparent. I loved that a donor she gave last week, and she said, I decided to donate because I didn't want anyone to go without hope or help. And I remember feeling that way in high school and college. And she says, I'm still struggling, and this current situation everyone is in can really escalate those feelings. So it's time to escalate the resources. That's what she said in her comment. And I was like, I've never read anything more true, to kind of identify where we're at. Those people who are giving. I know Chris just commented a bit ago about, wow, that was easy. We've already reached almost $3,000.
Yeah.
That's such an, I mean, 15 donations. That's amazing. Like, I just don't even have the ability to wrap my head around this right now. I'm just, I'm really grateful for those who have given, but also for those who are posting about today, who are posting about Trite Love on Her Arms, who are really just using this as an opportunity to give something. So could be a $10 donation. Again, that'll help 500 people access all of the content and storytelling and resources that TriteLove.com offers and our social media platforms. Or $25 helps people use that Find Help tool. But really, today is about generosity. So perhaps it's the generosity of your voice. It's that moment where it's okay to talk about what you're going through, and it's okay to check in on the folks. And maybe you want to do it in a small group of friends, or a smaller support group, but it's okay to do that. And so we'd encourage you. And then if there's other needs that you can meet, it could be something as simple as helping somebody grab groceries, or doing a small act of kindness, and just thinking about the world as we want it to kind of be, as we kind of walk through this season of so much uncertainty and challenges. And Neely, well kept also, this is really cool. They make these awesome, I'm just going to do a little plug here. They make these awesome little towelettes, and it's a pattern that says keep going, and 10% of the proceeds are going to Trite Love on Her Arms. And so she just donated. And just the way that businesses are getting creative, people are getting creative, just supporting one another and being generous. And I think out of that generosity, we're going to find a lot of healing as we kind of move through everything. So it's a beautiful day to be a part of. So I'm excited for everybody giving. Thank you, Chris, for giving. Mark is asking how he can donate. There's an amazing little button right here. I think I'm pointing to it. Yeah. You can donate through Instagram. Another amazing part of today, especially through Instagram and Facebook, is that 100% of the donation you give is coming straight to Write Love on Her Arms. There's no processing fees. There's no percent of that that's going to get lost in the digital space of money online. So that's an amazing opportunity. And we see people giving on Facebook today. You can also give if for whatever reason I saw a comment about the tool not being enabled in a country, maybe Costa Rica I saw earlier, you can give on TWLOHA.com. There should be no problems giving there. TWLOHA.com/donate is the quickest way to make a gift and stand with us. So.
Hey, Linz, if someone has a question related to making a donation, where could they reach out?
Yeah, donate@TWLOHA.com would be a great contact. And then we can try to make sure we get you in social media some way, but donate@TWLOHA would be a great way to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, so grateful for you. And as you were talking, I was thinking, in the early days, we were funded by t-shirts, and it's been amazing over time. We still love t-shirts. We still sell a bunch of t-shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops. We love merch. That'll always be true. But it's been really neat as the years have gone by to become, I think, something more sustainable and more well-rounded. And you and your team have had so much to do with that. And I think, it's been awesome too, because I feel like you're so great at connecting the finances with the stories that they represent. And hopefully it's a good segue to Stefan, who is, I think, can speak to that as well from a really unique perspective. But
yes. And I love and adore Stefan. Thank you for letting me kind of share what this day is about. And just thank you to everybody giving and everybody who will give. And remember, if you can't give, please use your story, use your voice today. It does matter, and it matters to us that you would choose to stand with us. So thanks, Jamie.
Definitely.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Linz. Bye.
I'm going to go donate now.
Awesome. All right. So that was Lindsay Kolsch, one of our co-executive directors. I just have to do, right, we're back. Okay, so that was Lindsay Kolsch. We're off to an incredible start, you guys. Almost $3,000, and that comes from 15 donations. So we are really grateful, and we're excited. Thank you for being here. That was not a Gracie break. That was a phone detail, silly housekeeping break. Gonna bring on Stefan. I'm gonna move this up a little. And yeah, as Lindsay said, we are big Stefan fans. He is a licensed mental health counselor. He works with Solace Counseling in Orlando. He is also a To Write Love on Our Arms board member. And so I'm going to look for Stefan. Hopefully let's see. All right, I see him. My man.
Hey.
Dude.
How's it going?
You figured it out. Thanks for being here.
Me and technology very rarely get along.
You got good art behind you. You got good lighting. It shouldn't surprise me.
It's good to see your face.
Thank you, man. Likewise. How are you doing? Where are you?
Yeah, we're doing the Zoom check-in that Lindsay just talked about. So
for the most part, it out. Yeah.
For the most part, okay. But I recognize that I've had a lot of difficulty adjusting to this new kind of life we're all living. Like I do have Zoom fatigue, and I am very anxious a lot of the time. Yeah. And that my depression does sort of resurge in those times where I feel like, what do I have power over? I have power over just me, and that doesn't feel like enough right now. I want more than what I have.
I hit my screen time limit for the day.
Signing you off. I'll take over.
Gonna have to keep going. No, man, sorry that's important stuff that you were sharing.
Mm.
And then in the midst of that, you're someone who helps people. And I wonder if you could talk maybe generally just kind of tell people about your job, and then maybe more specifically what it's looked like in the last couple months.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and there's a few different titles that do that. There's licensed mental health. There's social workers. There's marriage and family therapists. Essentially, what we're wanting to do is find people in their situations, help them to understand themselves and others better, and then to move through where they get stuck. And so I think that's my primary job, is to help people figure out like what happened and how am I going to get through this. Um, in a very generalized sense, right?
Sure.
I think for this situation that we're in, it's new for everybody. And I think
Yeah.
whenever there's a novel experience for anybody, there's trouble in the transition. And anxiety is just the sign in our thoughts, in our feelings, in our body that something is changing and we need to respond. It's like a warning signal, right?
Yeah.
And some of us are given better tools growing up. Some of us have experiences that help us navigate those distressing, anxiety-inducing times better. Some of us just don't have them. I feel like I was one who didn't have great tools to manage anxiety until relatively recently.
Yeah.
And so it's been important for me to begin to notice even more the signals that are happening within me that cue me in to the possible threat. The situation we're in it's threatening, and
Yeah.
it's very insecure. All of us are being asked to adjust to something that we didn't want, that we didn't ask for, and that seemingly feels so far out of our control, and it doesn't feel like it has an end, right?
Sure.
So I think people are essentially hitting their thresholds. They're tired and they're weary and they're frustrated with being afraid all the time, and they're tired of being inside, and it's going to bring out it's going to bring up rather the cracks in the system, right? And that's where mental health issues and mental health awareness comes into play. I'm always encouraging people to get to know themselves, and we have all these different parts of us that are going to show up very unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And so depending on how many tools we have and how able we are, that's going to determine how we treat those different parts of us. Anxiety, depression, the things that To Write Love attempts to bring out of the darkness and destigmatize so that people can get the help they need.
Man, thank you. That's so good. I think with the bulk of the time we have left, I love the fact that we talk a lot about scholarship dollars, and sometimes it feels almost hypothetical, or most of us don't get to see it in action, and yet you get to receive those scholarship dollars and sit across from someone
Mm.
as their licensed counselor. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about sort of how the money that people are giving in general, and even specifically today, how and where that plays out, and the impact that it makes.
Yeah. Well, before I say that, I just want to say how inspired I am. Like watching that number grow just a minute ago, like seeing people actively engaging with Giving Tuesday and with To Write Love, knowing with like my private piece of information, like the people that come and see me that benefit from the work that To Write Love does, but also like all the people that choose to include themselves in that work, that become part of something bigger.
Yeah.
That is so inspiring to me. I see it on a very kind of granular level. It's like the one-on-one. There's a person who comes to my office and they're having the experience of not being able to afford the therapy at full price or even at a sliding scale.
Sure.
And so what To Write Love does is essentially offers a scholarship based on income. But what we allow them to do is essentially name their price.
Yeah.
What can you afford? Because we like people to contribute what they can, and then To Write Love offers to fill in the rest. During this time, I would say I've taken on probably about 30% of my new clients have been those who have not been able to afford due to the instance of the pandemic and the quarantine, right? I'm not working. I'm supporting another family member. I'm furloughed. Some event has happened because of this over which they have no control.
Sure.
And so what To Write Love is doing is like blessing the world because people are stuck.
Yeah. No,
And so
man,
that's been cool for me to see.
I had a really cool encounter with someone who's probably a mutual friend. I won't name her name, but I parked at the old Solace office. I was in Orlando. I think honestly I was probably running across the street to Starbucks, and someone stopped me in the parking lot. They recognized me, and she was on her way into an appointment that was made possible by To Write Love. And she just shared that with me, and it was just a moment in the parking lot, and she was, we happened to cross paths, but it was really cool because again, it took it out of the sort of the hypothetical, and it made it real. I wonder, what about, I don't think I've really asked you this, but what has been your experience and maybe your perspective as a board member? How long has it been?
I think we're going now in year 3 as of this spring meeting.
Yeah. So what has stood out to you? What has that experience been like?
I think first of all, I was struck by the integrity of the board and the integrity of the mission, how you and the other board members sort of allowed the mission to be scrutinized and reviewed and overviewed repeatedly just to ensure that it was integral to the mission. If something didn't belong, there wasn't necessarily a prohibition against getting rid of that piece that didn't belong anymore. You've been willing to evolve repeatedly in order to purify and distill what it is you're doing now. And so I think one of the reasons not only that you've survived, but as a mission, but thrived as a nonprofit, is because you're willing to cut off the chaff, right? And to really focus on the incredible mission that you do have. We want to help people. We want to see people get well. We want to have these conversations around mental health because they're not happening enough. And so if we can be a part of that, let's do it.
Yeah.
So to be around the board for me is always super inspiring. I always feel energized. You guys are kick-ass.
Yeah.
And so it's an honor for me.
I love that. Obviously we love having you in the mix. Lindsay asked a question. I'm going to go back. She said, is it okay to ask or get help if you weren't already with a counselor?
Absolutely. I think she touched on that a little bit in talking about the Find Help tool and how difficult it is to connect with somebody, made even more difficult during these times.
Sure.
I don't have the ability necessarily to shop around and to find a counselor with whom I might fit really well, or in my area, I knew of this one counselor and now I can't see them. They're not on telehealth, or there's just a lot of obstacles. But it is absolutely okay to just hit up a few counselors and have that first consult or have that first session. If it doesn't work, you're more than free to say, this isn't working. I don't get offended. I've had many people start therapy with me and me not be a good fit. They feel it, they express it, and I say, great, let me help you find and connect with somebody who's going to fit better for you.
Yeah. I wonder, I always like asking counselors this question. I feel like we get it a lot, whether it's from supporters or interns. What was the process like of sort of the light bulb going off for you, where it was like, you know what, I might want to do this work. I might want to become a counselor. I wonder what that process was like. And obviously we have to keep it sort of brief. But with that, maybe what advice you might have for someone who's in that place at any age, but they're curious about this could be a career path for me.
I would say that I came about it more through my unhealth than through my health. It wasn't like a light bulb moment, like I am now healthy enough to do this. I don't think that moment exists because I think the invitation is to always keep growing, always keep self-examining. So I always encourage people, go see a counselor, see what the process is like peek behind the curtain. It's demystifying to know that we're just people and we have issues too. We just have perspective on your problems that maybe we don't have with our own problems.
Yeah.
And so it's just a witness in a room who gets to validate and affirm you, call out the BS when it's appropriate, but to help you pass easier through whatever you're going through. I entered in with an assumption that I'm helping people, right? And it's like a little bit self-righteous, and found out along the way, the dynamic and the connection and the relationship is what is helping people. If I'm getting well and you're seeking to get well, hey, we get to celebrate that together. This is a bond that's connected, and we get to celebrate the wealth of us getting healthy.
Dude, that's so good. Lindsay beat me to it. She said she loved the way you worded it, witness and perspective. What about kind of advice for someone? Like what was helpful as you started to kind of think in that direction?
be very, very flexible because our own timetables don't work. I remember the first time I thought about doing counseling or becoming a counselor was the year after undergrad. And I was like, what, 22? And I'm young. I knew some stuff, but I don't know and hadn't had as much experience as I have now. And this came to life at the right time. I think I'd been disappointed along the way because my timetable didn't work out. That's disappointing, right?
Mhm.
When it did finally happen, I think I was ready to handle the kind of obstacles that were put in front of me and the kind of energy and devotion, dedication that it took to lay down a lot of my crap. Because you have to leave so much of your BS behind to be able to be objectively with people in their pain
Yeah.
and not make it about your own pain.
Mm. Yeah. Well, man, we're grateful for you in general,
I
always.
love you guys.
Oh man, I'm so glad we get to. I feel like I don't know if we talked about it. I remember hearing your name kind of before I got to meet you, and it was like, who is this guy? Maybe Lindsay and Denny or Aaron and Michelle were talking about you, and it's been so cool to form a friendship, and now to have you on the board, and we love you, love the work that you do and the work you represent, and just grateful
Thank you.
for you.
I'm honored to be a part of it. I'm repping my shirt today. Boop, boop.
Thank you, man. Um, Try and think. Oh, any other? I was trying to think if there's if anyone has a question. I didn't have put the invitation out, but if anyone has a question for Stefan, someone said Montesseran for president. I like
Oh,
it.
I'm ready to
Uh,
run. Thanks, Ryan.
we may be able to sprinkle in some questions. There's a question mark icon at the bottom of the screen. Um, is there anything you're excited about? I think Lindsay kind of talked about trying to get to sort of a different perspective recently. Is there anything that I don't know that's been helpful or encouraging in this difficult moment?
I say it with some sarcasm, but apparently the pandemic's over in Florida. They just they just reopened the state, so I guess we can all celebrate and move on now. But
This is sarcasm,
realistically,
people.
realistically, I'm ready to keep moving through this in a way that allows us to hopefully connect in some of the ways we used to. Like I miss the hugs, I miss the gatherings, I miss holding my family. We miss those. It's a grief process, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to the day that we can figure out perhaps what this is going to mean on a larger societal level,
Mm.
because we still have all the problems we entered into this with, and on top of the pandemic. And so removing that layer of insecurity and fear and
Yeah.
allowing us to kind of use our social connections to fuel growth and health again,
Mm.
that to me would be a big boon.
That's awesome. Somebody asked an important question. How do we apply for the scholarship to get mental health counseling from you? So go to our Find Help tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's TWLOHA.com/find help. It's the top right corner of our website. You can simply click on the words Find Help, and you'll see a spot where you can enter your zip code, and that will connect you to local resources. But below that, you'll see 4 different rectangles. And the top left one of those is what's going to allow you to apply for the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have questions, my sister Jessica just put in the link. Again, it's twaloha.com/find help. And if you have questions related to getting help, you can email findhelp@twaloha.com.
Mm.
Well, Stefan, thank you so much, man.
It's been an honor. It's so good to see your face too.
Dude, likewise. Are you a This Is Us fan by chance?
Yes. Well, part of it, yes. Part of it, it's so heavy and so sad so often, and I lean sad anyhow. So I feel
Okay,
like I'm
hang
just
on.
like eating
This is going to be a
sadness.
good transition. You have to watch the beginning. I'm going to let Chris respond. And so you're going to have to watch I already know what it's going to be. So you have to watch his response.
Okay, I'll stay on for sure.
All right. Thank you,
Okay,
man.
peace. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Chris Sullivan is up next. No. All right. We are adding Chris. You guys, we're at over $3,100 raised. Chris, you are in a beautiful place.
Yes, I
Now,
am.
before we get to anything, has anyone ever said that your show is sad?
No. I find it shocking. I find it appalling. Yeah, Gracie, I hear you. I agree. Um, you want to know? You want to know what my kind of brash answer
I know it.
to?
That's why I'm setting you up. I remember.
Yeah, you know the our show isn't sad. You're sad.
Gracie, hang on.
I know you don't want to hear it, Gracie,
Oh, wait.
but there is
The UPS man is here.
of course the UPS man is here.
There's no way to put.
Um,
Hang on. Stop. You have to calm down.
should I just keep talking? You all
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I
yeah.
should just keep talking
We're
until
back. You know, it's
Gracie?
you can put the phone on Do Not Disturb, but you can't put your house on Do Not Disturb.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you
She
for
is
sure.
a watchdog.
Yeah. I think the
Okay.
interesting part about our show is that people have sadness and they maybe are not quite sure how to access it. They're maybe not even quite sure they have it, but then they view some kind of art, whether it's a TV show or a song or even a very evocative painting, and it draws something out of them that needs to be looked at. And I find our show is very good at that because there's so many different storylines going on, whether it's anxiety, depression, addiction, any of those topics. And so there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. And if I think, you know, the thing that I've learned from my time in therapy is that feelings are not facts. They're very real, but they are not necessarily factual. And I take my feelings and I view them as information. If I am having a strong feeling about something, then it needs to be looked at. For a long time, for many years, I allowed my feelings to control my behavior. They allowed me. I allowed them to control the way I treated other people, the way I treated myself, all of those things. And now I am more of a participant in my emotions. I am an observer of my emotions on a good day. Obviously, this is not always true, but that is how I'm trying to live my life these days.
Yeah, man, thank you for that. Just to recap, you guys, we're at over $3,100 raised. Chris was super generous, threw it out at the very beginning that what was the number? If we could get to 250.
And I think somebody donated like over $1,000. It jumped very quickly, and so I put my $1,000 in there already. And if you know what, if we can get to 3,500, throw another 500 and then take it to 4,000. So keep sending $2-3 at a time.
Amazing.
We got 100 people. We got 100 people watching. So if everybody gives $5 or $4, we'll make it to 3,500, and I'll put 500 more in. I'm so glad people are raising money for you today. I got my
thank you for being a part of it. I dig it. Gracie. She's got you. Hey, you know what Gracie has right now? Huh? It didn't work as well as I was gonna. UPS PTSD, but it's
UPTSD.
As we've settled in, I was talking to my sister earlier, and she talked about how at first we kind of thought about like, you know, I can do a few weeks of this, and now it's sort of like we're realizing it's more of a marathon. It's like she called it the new normal. I wonder if, you know, we talked a few weeks ago, and I just wonder as it relates to self-care, mental health, kind of what you've been reflecting on, if anything feels different a bunch of weeks into this.
Yeah, I've had huge ups and downs. Big swings in my mental state in as far as it relates to depression and anxiety and fear and things like that. So if you had talked to me last week, I would have been in a real rough place. And this week I'm sitting out here and I'm feeling a lot of gratitude, and I'm feeling very grounded and in the present moment. That's one of the things that I think I've realized. If I'm not feeling anxiety, let me start over. If I'm feeling anxiety, I'm living in the future. And if I'm feeling regret and fear, most likely I'm living in the past. And if I'm in the present, if I'm truly in the moment, I'm bored out of my mind.
Mm.
And I often think that boredom, especially now as we're all sitting at home with nothing to do, we feel like we need to spike ourselves somehow. We need to be worried. We need to
Yeah.
be, let's eat something. Let's drink something. Let's smoke something. Let's do something to get out of this boredom.
Yeah.
Because we're getting those hits of endorphins or adrenaline, or being afraid. Being afraid is very exciting.
Mm.
That's why people go to horror movies. I mean, the brain is going through all kinds of chemical reactions that are more exciting than sitting around being present sometimes. So I have I've definitely run the gamut. I've definitely swung far to both sides. Yeah.
Mm. Are you doing therapy in the midst of this?
Yeah, I'm doing virtual therapy. We've got virtual couples therapy. I've got a couple of we have a couples support group that we Zoom on. I have a men's group that I meet with. I'm talking to friends. The way that I've been able to get through this and on my best days is to try and figure out how to be of service, whether that's checking in with my elderly neighbors, whether that's making a phone call to a friend who I know might be having it a little bit rougher than me, because I'm here with my two great dogs and with Rachel, and we have a baby on the way, and so we're nesting and we're doing projects and we've got things to do. But there are certain people who are maybe a little more at risk, who could use a phone call.
Yeah.
Could use a FaceTime. And we all have the time to make all those phone calls.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how quickly I get out of my head when I start trying to be of service to other people. Right now, guys, we're at $32.50. If we can get $250 more, I'm throwing another $500 in the hat. So
will you
if you can afford it.
Amazing. Will you tell me about your fence? Did you paint your fence?
I did, and you're just getting a little sneak peek at it right now. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on down over here that will be revealed in good time. I'm putting together a little video. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was one of the things that we decided to do. There were things that we had wanted to do around here that we've been putting off, and like our back fence was falling down, and so we thought, now is the perfect time, we can afford it, to support a local contractor and get him out here and give him some work putting up a new fence. So we did that. We thought, we've always wanted to have a mural and a lot of color back here in our backyard. So we thought now would be a great time to support a local artist.
Yeah. So
we did that. We got two different artists out here doing a bunch of painting over 3 days. And, it's super easy to keep social distance and to support someone in their art and to bring a bunch of color to our lives.
Oh man, I thought of a question. Obviously, your show, I think, represents the reality that mental health is showing up everywhere in a good way. In popular culture, in so many headlines. And Lindsay and I were talking earlier. I think that's a silver lining of this moment, where people are talking more openly about mental health. And I wonder just what's your take on that, maybe even specific to this pandemic moment we find ourselves in, but I assume that feels like a good thing within a lot that's really hard.
Yeah, we've never been given such a thorough opportunity to investigate our own minds and hearts. I don't know who the quote is attributed to. I've heard it several times, but the majority of man's problems derives from his inability to sit alone in a room. And here we are, all alone in our rooms, and there are things coming up, things that we may have to face that we don't want to face, whether it's an old thought pattern that no longer serves us, or an addiction to something that is making our life unmanageable, whether that's our phone or video games or food or alcohol, whatever it is. And so there's always room for me to move closer to my higher power. There's always room for me to better myself. There's always room for me to move closer to becoming the best version of myself. And now is the best time to sit and really think about that. And as far as mental health goes, I think that the best thing about our show is every single character in this show is going through some kind of mental health crisis, maybe in certain cases, but mental health struggle. And this family is viewed by our fans and by our viewers as the ideal family. Everybody wants to be a part of the Pearsons.
Yeah.
But on paper, they're alcoholics. They have anxiety. They have depression. They have eating disorders. They have all of these things, and they are the perfect family. Both of those things can be true. You can have mental health struggles and be a reliable friend.
Yeah.
You can be depressed, have depression, experience depression, and be of service to your community. Both of those things can coexist.
Yeah.
And they do everywhere.
That's so good. It speaks to the complexity of people too, right? That I think people have fallen in love with these characters, and what you're saying is that in the midst of because of the nature or the medium, you guys are showing the hardest parts of these characters' lives, but people are still embracing and loving these characters.
That balance exists in everyone. You just don't get to see it all the time. As we encounter people in our lives, we're experiencing them in a moment. And you may experience someone at their worst moment of the day. And a different person may experience that person in their best moment of the day, and you're meeting two different people.
Yeah.
And to understand that, to truly understand that, and to find compassion and forgiveness for people with that understanding is in my opinion where God lives. That's where God lives. That idea of compassion and forgiveness for all people in all moments is the understanding of that balance. I've seen it more this last year than ever before. My friend getting married and finding out the day before, 2 days before, that her father can't come because he's in the hospital. So this is the best day of her life, and now she has this grief that she has to deal with. And the grief should not be ignored for the joy, and the joy should not be ignored for the grief. They have to exist, and they do exist in the same space all the time. And it's a hard thing to remember.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being so generous. You guys, if we can take it to 3,500, Chris is going to take us to 4,000. So what $84?
$84. That's good math right there. That's good math. 84 bucks.
So you guys can give 84. Chris is going to give another 500.
That's right. I saw a comment there. That's right. There is room for both. There is room for both.
Yeah. I think that was my sister. Did you have trouble sitting alone in a room, and that's why you had to go in the backyard?
Yes.
You're still working.
We've talked about this. Like, there are very basic things that we need to remember. Drink water, get exercise, get sleep, and eat well. Like, those four things contribute to mental health.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was so panicked, out of my mind, anxious, and I'm like, oh, I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
I am desperately thirsty. I desperately need water, and I've been so not in the present moment that I forgot to drink water. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's
That's
as
been
simple
an
as
interesting subplot throughout the last couple of months. People are pumped on water. Like water's
yeah,
been around a lot. People are buying those huge things, right? Like
yeah,
water is having a moment, and
yeah,
I dig it.
yeah.
Dude, we got there. We're
We
at
got there.
35:30.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you log me off, and I'll go put another 500 in the hopper.
Well, man, you're the best. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being so generous. And
I love you, buddy.
people were loving your thoughts. Love you too. We'll
All right. I'll
talk to you
talk to you.
soon.
Yeah, I'll talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Chris.
Bye.
All right, you guys. So here's what's going to happen. First off, thank you beyond words to Mr. Chris Sullivan. So grateful for his generosity, his friendship, and his wonderful thoughts as well. And now I'm going to end this stream and we're going to come right back on. We're going to bring on Morgan Harper Nichols. So I'm going to jump on, jump right back off. You guys, we are over $4,000 raised, which is incredible. So I'm going to end this and I'm going to come right back on with Morgan. All right, we are back. Hello again. TWLOHA at home, Giving Tuesday now. It doesn't show up because we started over, but we are over the $4,000 mark, which is incredible. So grateful to Chris Sullivan for his contribution, but also grateful to everyone who's donating. And as Lindsay touched on, if you can't give financially, it's okay. There's no shame in that. You can be generous with your voice. You can be generous with your story. And so we want to encourage you, and please know that there's value in that. And I love that Lindsay even touched on examples that don't even relate to the organization. Maybe your Giving Tuesday is about a neighbor, or it's about a friend or a family member. It's getting creative as it relates to generosity. If you are able to give to the organization, we love that. It allows us to do what we do. Lindsay touched on that. Stefan, who is a counselor, he talked about that as well. So we love, I say we on behalf of our incredible team, we love that 14 years in, we continue to be able to do this work of delivering a message of hope to people and helping people connect to the professional help that they need and deserve. So your donations are making that possible. And Morgan, I'm going to bring you on right now. Oh, Morgan, it says unable to join. Okay. All right, I see it now. So we're bringing on Morgan. Thank you to
I
someone
think
just gave,
it's, I'm
hi,
here. Can you see me? I can
we're,
see you.
you're perfect.
All right, there we go.
Somebody just gave $20. Thank you so much. Morgan,
Awesome.
thank you for being back with us.
Yes, of course, of course. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's been
Was
a
your I know your sister is a This Is Us fan. So did she get to reflect on today? Have you talked to her about
I have not. We have not caught up today on yeah, it's so surreal. Just yeah, even the last stream. I'm like, man, this is so like this was like a little mini therapy session.
I know.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris is basically asked to be on the board, so we really need to get to
Yeah, we
work
gotta
on
make
that
that happen.
because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That was
he's
yeah,
got
that
my
was just what
vote.
I needed to hear.
It sounds like he has your vote. So
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yes.
well, thank you for coming back. We talked to you a couple weeks ago. You and I spoke earlier, so I wonder if you could just share how you're doing, where you are in the world, and maybe
Yeah.
what the last couple weeks have been like for you.
Yes, so during all of this, I've been at home. I'm not an essential worker, so I'm working from home, and I've had some really big projects and huge deadlines that I've had to meet, and that's been keeping me busy, but at the same time, kind of even what Chris was just talking about, like it's really hard to just sit with thoughts. And one thing I forgot to tell you earlier when we were talking, it was like my internet went out yesterday, and it's been out since yesterday, and we're trying to get it fixed, and apparently it's an outage in the whole neighborhood. And the thing is, it's just like, even though I still have internet on my phone, I'm like, wow, there's so many times where I just mindlessly have the TV going on in the background, and I'll just like start playing a YouTube video or a TED Talk or something, and I'll just have it going. And even just not having that has been forcing me to just kind of be more present in a way that I haven't been. So yeah, it's been really interesting. I feel like for me personally, I feel like I'm kind of entering in a new phase where I live in California. They're starting to look like they're going to open things up. Like the closest beach to us just opened up, but then they're still just like, but do I want to go? Because it's probably going to be a stressful experience, no matter which way I look at it. So now I feel like I'm navigating that of just like, okay, the first part of this was just like stay at home. I'm like, I got that. Yeah. I can do that. Okay. Sure. I'm a rule follower. I can follow that rule. But now it's just like a lot more gray area, and it's really hard to navigate. So yeah, I think the whole taking it day by day thing is going to become even more serious because we can't just be on autopilot. It's really hard.
Hey, remind me, what's your Enneagram type?
I am a 5 wing 4. Yes.
Wait, tell me briefly about that.
Yeah, so being a 5, we kind of recharge being by ourselves.
5s don't get enough credit, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like 5s tend to be a little,
they kind of go below the radar.
Yeah, we're a little on the oftentimes more reserved, and so this is like the most consecutive I'll talk all day. Yeah. Even outside of social distancing. It takes a lot of energy for me to be able to get out and do things. So when I think about that, when I think about going out again, I'm like, it was already exhausting for me. Even also as an introvert, it was already exhausting being in social settings. Like I already had to do like have my Calm app and my playlist and all of these things. And now that's just like amplified. And I feel like I see people, rightfully so, they're like, oh, I'm so excited to get out and do this again and do that. But I know for me, and I'm sure there are others who are still trying to figure out like, well, I've got a lot of anxiety about that. It's like that kind of wears on me. So yeah.
Someone asked mine. I'm a 4, which tends not to surprise people, but I need to brush up on my wing. I think I'm a 5 wing. Maybe I'm borrowing from you because that would make me more like you.
Oh my god.
We'll do a separate Enneagram one. I wonder. For sure. We talked earlier. I wonder what creating has felt like over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I've been starting to have grace for myself to just create as a way of finding peace. And because I'm very fortunate that I get to make art for a living, and I mean, it's not like a millionaire's position or anything. It pays the bills. But with that, sometimes I feel pressure because I am self-employed, because I am constantly having to figure out like, okay, we got to make sure that
you have to be inspiring every day.
My goodness, it's really overwhelming. And also, I just have to say a little side note here. There are lots of 5 wing 4s and 4 wing 5s.
I like that someone said, what are the numbers and wings? Like, what are you guys talking about?
Just go hang out with Chris Hewitt's on his Instagram.
Yeah, we're talking about the Enneagram, or we were talking about the Enneagram.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to say that because there's not a lot of us out there. So hello, everyone. We see you. So yeah, I have been just allowing myself, like I woke up this morning at 4:30. I don't know why, but I was up, couldn't get back to sleep. And I have a baby, but the baby was still asleep. And I was just like, I'm just going to go and create. I don't know where this art is going to go. I don't know where it belongs in the world. I don't know if it's a product or an Instagram post, but I know that this little iPad right here, oops, I almost dropped this on the floor. This iPad that I have and this Apple Pencil has somehow managed to bring me a lot of joy. So, it doesn't fix all the problems, but I turned on some music and I made some art. So I would say that's a huge change for me because I do feel that pressure all the time because it's like, okay, well, if I stop creating, does that mean we're going to sink under? You know, if I
True,
don't come
true.
up with something new, then is everything going to fall apart? So I deal with that, and I've just been really working through. It's like, hey, yes, there's work, but
Yeah.
there's also your heart and your head and
Yeah.
your body and being present there. So yeah, just
I
making
feel like
things for fun.
we touched on it earlier when we talked, but I think, and I love this. I feel like people are talking about the need for people to be given grace or to give themselves grace if they're not creating, if they're not
Hmm.
being productive, if this is a
Yeah.
hard time. But you almost, I feel like you kind of talked about grace at the other end of the spectrum, which is if you want to work at 5 in the morning, or if whether it's
Yeah.
work or not, who knows? Like,
Yeah.
but kind of giving ourselves the grace and the freedom to, and even Chris kind of touched on, like, our days might look and feel different.
Hmm.
You might not want to wake up early. You might want to sleep in tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could talk about that, just kind of having to give yourself grace, like sort of regardless of the level of productivity.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, but I like to think about my kid self and my little kid self and what would 6-year-old Morgan want to do during this time. And honestly, it's not much different. She would love to draw pictures.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's kind of the same. So that's sort of the way I view productivity. There's a lot of, and again, this is something I talk about all the time, but there's a lot of research out there about how play is correlated to our productivity and
mm,
the way that we work and the way that we find fulfillment and joy in our work. And most of us grown-ups, we don't have time to play.
yeah,
Um, and I think a lot of times as we get older, the way we want to play, we may not have the ability to do that. It's like, well, I enjoy playing by going on vacation and jumping off a cliff somewhere into the water and taking cool Instagram photos. It's like, okay, yeah, that's one way of play.
yeah,
But coloring is to trying a new recipe of challenging yourself, like how can I just take all the ingredients I have in my cabinet and just make something. Let's just see what we can come up with. Just imagine, what would 7-year-old you, 6-year-old you be doing? And so yeah, that's a lot of where that comes from for me. And I think that's where I start to find that freedom of like, okay, yes, I could sit here and scroll through Netflix for the 1000th time and
yeah,
not even pick anything to watch. I don't know if
yeah.
anyone else does that. I
Oh,
I
sure.
wish that I wish Netflix had an option where you could start a show and then keep scrolling
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
another. Because I'll start
Well, it'd be
something and
like
I'm just
it's like, I don't know if this is before your time, but when I'm thinking out loud, but when I was a kid, if your friends had money, they might have a TV that had the picture in the picture. So it was like you're watching the main
oh
TV and then there's another square. So you could kind of be
yeah, I
watching two
missed
things at once.
I missed that one.
I'm
We also
40.
never had like cable or anything. I'm 30. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe there was
yeah,
like
yeah,
some
yeah.
little in
It's
there.
weird though, because I feel like that has totally gone away. But when I was a kid, that was like a thing. It was like, whoa, they have the picture in picture TV.
Well,
Um,
yes, that would be nice. But
or
yeah,
maybe
so
we need
I
the other end would be like screen time for Netflix, where it pops up and it's like you can't
oh
watch any
yeah.
more Netflix.
Well, yeah, I think they try to do that with Are You Still Watching?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, yes, I
yeah,
am. Which I feel like they asked that really soon. I'm like, I only watched 3 episodes, guys. Like,
yeah.
why are you already asking? Of course, I'm still watching. But anyway, yeah, so I try to find that balance between like because if I'm doing nothing, I end up doing these mindless tasks like scrolling through Netflix,
Sure.
scrolling through my phone. So trying to find that balance between like, okay, you don't have to like write the next Lord of the Rings, but
Yeah,
maybe you could write something, you know.
yeah,
Maybe
sure.
you could do something that you're proud of and that 6-year-old you would be proud of. So that's
Yeah,
sort of the caveat because, in our grown-up brains, once we get to the page, it's like, okay, well, I've got to be deep, I've got to say something profound,
mhm,
my grandchildren are going to find this journal
yeah,
60 years later. At least that's the way I think. I literally think about that. I think about my book being pulled up out of the dirt sometimes, and I'm just
yeah,
like, some archaeologist finding it, and I'm like, this better be good. Like,
yeah.
this might end up in a history book. But anyway,
Um,
that's just how my weird brain
no,
works.
I
So
dig it.
I have to bring myself back down to earth and just say, you know what? If I were 6 years old right now, it would honestly be more than fulfilling to just scribble with a Pixar movie playing in the background.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
like that would be more than enough, and that would be fulfilling. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what creativity looks like for me right now.
Well, I want to take a moment and just acknowledge. So it's Giving Tuesday now, and we've been doing these TWLOHA at home Instagram live conversations. We had Morgan on a couple weeks ago, but this is a special day for nonprofits all over, and we have already raised over $4,000. We started over when we added Morgan, but in the previous hour, over $4,000 raised. I believe 1,500 of that came from Chris Sullivan. So once again, thank you to Chris. But we are doing a live fundraiser right now. We're already at $36 thanks to two people. Even if you want to give $2, if you want to give $5, as Lindsay pointed out, there are no fees. So all the fees are waived today. So everything you give goes to the organization. Stefan, who was our second guest, he represented the scholarship aspect of what we do, where people for whom there is a financial barrier as it relates to them seeing a counselor or stepping into treatment, part of what the organization gets to do is remove that financial barrier. And so that's something we love. It goes all the way back to our very beginning when I started selling t-shirts as a way to help pay for my friend's treatment, my friend Renee. So we love that. We also love doing our best to remove stigma. More than anything, we communicate. We used to do that at in-person events, college campuses, music tours, festivals. We long for, the days and the opportunities where we can do that again. But for now, we get to do it here. We get to do it on social media, in blogs, on our website, through our podcast. So we love bringing hope to people, bringing encouragement to people every single day, throughout the day. We hear from people literally around the world. And so that's what part of what today is about, and why Morgan was kind enough to join us again. So that's the giving aspect of this. Morgan, I had another question for you. You shared a quote that's been speaking to you recently, and I wondered if you could share that with these
Yeah.
folks and talk a little bit about it.
Yes, let me pull it up so I can make sure I don't actually say it wrong. Sorry, guys. That's how.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
never
okay.
mind. I forgot my internet's not working. So, just kidding. I gotta just wing it. But
As you talk, I bet someone could Google it for you.
yeah. So it's a line from one of my favorite poets, Rilke. That's Rilke, and I think it's actually something that he wrote in his book Letters to a Young Poet, and he was talking about learning to live with questions. And I have just been sitting with that a lot lately because I like to live with answers.
Yeah.
I love I love answers. Like I remember as a kid, like when Ask Jeeves came out before Google, I was just like, yeah, I think me and Jeeves are gonna be friends for a very long
Yeah.
time. Like this is my buddy. Like he can tell me all the things I need to know. So, and having grown up in this information age, at least for me, I feel like, well, if I can Google it and research it, then I can find it, then I can know it. And there's a lot to be learned online. There's a lot to be learned in books, but a lot of it is learning how to live with a big question mark. And I think that is a huge theme in my art right now, of just like learning how to just make space for the uncertainty, make space for the unknowns, whatever they may be, because they're different for every person. They're different at each stage of life. And the hard thing about that is that, even in times like this, not everybody likes that. I do receive pushback sometimes about like, no, well, this is true. And I'm like, maybe for you, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that's how it worked out for your story.
Wait, how do you
But
mean, like you post a statement and someone disagrees?
yeah.
Yeah.
So like just different things about, if I say something that has to do with somebody's healing journey or something taking a long time to go through, someone may say, oh, actually it doesn't take that long. I just did this, and that, and I felt better. And I'm like, that's so good. I'm so grateful for you. And that happened for you that way. But for this person, there's always somebody else who doesn't have that experience.
Mm.
And I actually saw something I wrote years ago, and I was like, man, I think I might want to share that again. just as a reminder to myself. And it's something about like for every day that I'm fine, at least one of my neighbors is not. And I know that may seem like a depressing statement, but it's just kind of like what Chris was talking about, of just holding joy and grief. Of just like when we're having the best day of our lives, and which is great, awesome. For me, I'm like, I want to at least continue to hold in my heart that space. Like, there's somebody next door to me. There's somebody in my contact list on my phone who is not having a great day. They're not having a great hour. And yeah, I make art for that. When I'm feeling inspired and I'm feeling like ready to go, my mind thinks about that person who's in that place, who's living with those questions. So yeah, I've been living with those 3 words quite a bit lately.
This is a total change of pace. First off, thank you. We had 2 more donations come in just in the last couple minutes. So thank you guys. We're, in addition to being over $4,000 from the previous hour, another 156. I wonder we've talked a lot about creating, but to switch it up, I wonder what has connecting with people looked like over the last bunch of weeks.
Yeah. Before this, I wasn't really that good with like FaceTiming or even these. Like I never really did a lot of, I don't think, maybe I never did.
Yeah.
This 2-person thing before, maybe once or twice, maybe. But yeah, I didn't do a lot of this. I kind of shy away from that, just being more introverted. And yeah, I'm kind of at a place where I've just been kind of humbly reminded of like, oh no, you need people, like, and this is the way to do that. And I went to a retreat last year, and they had there's like an alumni Zoom call, and I was like, I'm not going to join that, because it was like people from the other retreats who I didn't know, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. And at the last minute, this past Sunday, I joined, and I was like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, it was stressful. It was, at first, it was kind of like.
Wait, do you want to say what it was? It's okay if
it's a secret retreat. But yeah, it was just like a private retreat, and yeah, it was just really special because it was just like, I don't even know everyone here. We're all from different places, and yes, my heart is racing, but I still did it. So that's been good. I've been FaceTiming with friends. I feel like I've been FaceTiming even my family members more, which is good. And yeah, like I haven't in the past been someone who, like, if a random FaceTime shows up on my phone, I'm like, absolutely no. I can't answer that. I'm not prepared. So I've been proud of myself because there have been a few times, not all the time, but there are a few times where I press accept.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, let us chat. Totally. That's what I say before every FaceTime, let us chat. But anyway, so yeah, even just those little things to me, I'm like, that to me is a sign of growth. And still navigating the other stuff. Like I had to go out earlier, and it's strange, just interaction with strangers. That's been interesting. Because even though I may not be the most like extroverted person, like I do still say like hello and how are you, and to be able to not see people's facial expressions because we're wearing masks, like that's a different thing. So yeah, I don't have an answer for it, but I just kind of wanted to like name that. Like, yeah, that's new. We're figuring that out. So,
sure.
Yeah.
I was remembering the moment we met.
Oh my goodness.
You made me feel like $1 million. We were in a parking garage. That was the only
time I've ever done anything like that.
Wait, were we in Playa del Rey?
Yeah, at the Playa del Rey Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Jamie walking out of Whole Foods, and I was like, I know who that is.
Yeah, and you said hi, and I remember I was with my friend, which is what made me feel really cool. I'm with my buddy from Florida who now lives in LA, and I get stopped by a stranger, and it's you. And
It's me.
I didn't know who you were. And I think like, I forget what made, I don't know if like, but I ended up following you or looking you up, and it was like, whoa, who is this person?
Yeah, I posted that I met you because, and I've shared this before, I've been following TWLOHA since the beginning. I remember MySpace days back in 2006. I was like a freshman in college, and just having dealt with depression in my own life, I was just like, I feel like this is needed. This is what we need in this world. And so, yeah, I knew exactly who you were, and I was just so shocked. And yeah, I don't normally do things like that, but I
Yeah,
wrote
I
that
don't
one down. I
normally
was
get
like, "Are you
stopped
Jamie?"
coming out of grocery stores. So that is a very LA place to get stopped, I feel like.
Oh yeah, yeah, Whole Foods and Playa del
Erewhon might
Rey.
have been more LA.
It's too funny.
Yeah. I asked Stefan this. Well, first off, and I think it's a good segue, but it's so cool that we've been on your radar since 2006, and now you're a board member. And I wonder
I
if you could just
am.
talk about what that experience has been like.
Yes, being on the board at TWLOHA Arms, for me, it was just such a full circle moment. I remember when I was first asked, I just immediately went back to my college freshman self, and I just saw her being so excited for me.
Wait, was
um,
that when did we meet for coffee?
yeah, yeah, you asked me,
I'm
and
so bad at asking people
oh,
like for things, but especially for sort of big things.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in Everything's Running Together Now.
It was
I
in
don't know. I
Glendale.
don't know what year it was. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Glendale at some point. Um, and yeah, so we met, and for those of you who are just tuning in, and Jamie, feel free to fill in the gaps. Like Try Love in Our Arms, what this organization does is it provides resources for people who are dealing with various aspects of depression and suicide, and I'm missing some things. You can
Oh,
jump in.
addiction,
Addiction,
self-injury,
yes, yes,
anxiety.
self-injury,
Yeah.
yes, and that for me, that was just like I mentioned with depression, especially for me in high school going into college. That was huge, a huge part of my life, and I'm grateful that I'm still here. But I think about her a lot.
Yeah.
I think about my younger self a whole lot. Probably because I'm one of those people. I just have way too sharp of a memory. I
Mm.
remember stuff I don't want to remember. I'm like, can I just clear some of this stuff out so I can remember some important things that are actually relevant? So yeah, I think about my younger self a lot, and I remember just when you asked me, like immediately, I just saw my younger self, and I just started thinking about every other college freshman out there, every other high school senior out there. And I was like, yes, I want to be on the board for them. I'm like, I don't know what being a board member is.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to go Google it after this conversation.
Wait, so
But
what has it been like?
yeah, so, I mean, just to be totally transparent, I was really intimidated at first because there's some really legit professional people on this board who know what they're talking about. And, imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
looking around thinking, what am I doing here? Why have I been asked? However, it's just been really cool to be able just to speak into kind of the speak into kind of just sort of my own experience as someone who spends a lot of time engaging with people online and
Mm.
makes my art from engaging with people online. So whenever I start to doubt myself, I even in board settings, I remind myself like, hey, you have something to say from your story of interacting with people, lots of young people.
Yeah.
Um, and just speak from that place. I can't speak from an accountant's place because I'm
Sure.
not an accountant. I can't speak
Same.
from a therapist's place because I'm not a therapist. And that's okay. But I am an artist who really, really does care about people and loves connecting with people through words and art. And by spending time with that allows me to be able to speak into the board things. But
Yeah.
one thing, Jamie, I was sharing with you before this, and I'll just tell everyone else. One thing that I love that Sprite Love and Arms is doing right now is just offering scholarships to people who need therapy, and I love that because there's so many people who are either working less or not working at all, and they're sitting at home and they're battling all kinds of things, and yes, it can be really encouraging to FaceTime with a friend and catch up, but it's another layer to be able to sit with someone and actually start just working through some of those things that you're kind of dealing with. So So yeah, I'm really grateful that TWLOHA is offering that right now, because it really for me, it gives me a lot of peace, because I know I spend a lot of time like hoping to encourage people through a screen.
Yeah.
But even with what I do, I'm telling people, I'm like, please, I really hope that you can find, a therapist, someone, a professional to talk to.
Sure.
There does not need to be any stigma with that whatsoever. I have a therapist, and yes,
Yeah.
I've told my therapist, I'm like, I'm gonna probably end up having a whole section at the back of my book that's like, here's all the quotes from my
Yeah.
therapist. I didn't actually say this, but yeah, it's real, and I'm just so grateful for that resource. So
Mm.
yeah,
And specifically what she's talking about, if you is our find help tool for the
yes,
organization. So you can come to our website, TWLOHA.com. Top right corner, you'll see the words find help. And if you click that, anyone in the US can simply enter their zip code. And there are filters that you can use to narrow it down, but you can very quickly connect with local mental health resources in your community. And that includes free and reduced rate services. Something we've been able to add in recent weeks is resources related to COVID-19. And so that could be food, that could be finances beyond what we would typically think of as simply mental health. So not just counseling or treatment. And if you're interested in a scholarship, if finances are a barrier or a challenge, there's information there. So below where you enter your zip code, there's 4 different boxes. Top left, you'll see, I forget the exact word, but you'll see where you need to go for the scholarship application. And if you have any questions about this, you can email findhelp@twloha.com. And if anyone from our team wants to spell that out, that would be great. But yeah, we love being able to connect people to those resources. And we also love, as you mentioned, to be able to help remove the financial barrier. And that brings us back to today, Giving Tuesday now. That's why Morgan showed back up. If you need help, we want to be able to help. And obviously that's where the rest of us come in. Those of us, as Lindsay touched on, if you're in a position to give financially today, you make it possible for other people to get help, to stay alive. I love that we've had so many different perspectives in terms of the guests today, but knowing that Stefan represents someone who gets to do that work of sitting with people as a professional counselor. Lindsay posted the link, twloha.com/find help apply. So that might be a lot to remember, but you can find that pretty easily on our website, twloha.com/find help. So yeah, we are almost at $200 raised this time around. Again, another 4,000 in the previous hour. Every dollar helps. So thank you guys for this. But yeah, thank you, Morgan. You did share that earlier, just that I think there's so much that we do and focus on and touch on. And to me, it's cool that that is something that has resonated with you. And I imagine it's also something that feels vital and relatable to your audience, right? That I think knowing, I say it all the time, but in your position, that people need more than your art. People, I need more than my friends and my family.
yeah,
And there comes a time where we might need to talk to a professional. And so we
mhm,
love being able to make that process easier for people.
yeah. That's super
Um,
valuable.
yeah, somebody just donated, so we're over 200 now this time around.
Mhm.
Is there anything you're excited about or hopeful about, anything that's kind of been shifting in recent days as we have kind of settled into this new normal?
Hmm. I I'm excited about just kind of so over the past few weeks, one thing I've been working on is I interviewed some friends of mine, some fellow artists, and what I'm going to be doing is actually sharing the art that was inspired from that conversation.
Wow.
And I'm really excited about it. However, this project was birthed out of another project that completely fell apart just due to the pandemic. I was supposed to be doing like these live interviews, and people were going to come to my studio and all of that. And it's completely changed now. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really bummed about that. I definitely have had some rough moments. Like thinking like, oh man, that was going to be really fun, and it's not going to happen anymore. However, now I'm starting to see like phone conversations that I have with people as more than just like, okay, we're just doing this obligatory thing because we're quarantining, and yeah, we got to talk to each other. And what I've done is the conversations are recorded. They know that, and I've recorded the conversations, and I go back and listen, and I make art inspired by their conversation. So what I'm hoping with this and sharing this is hopefully to inspire other people to even think about their interactions with other people in a creative way.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but I saw a photographer getting shared somewhere where he was FaceTiming his friends and doing photo shoots of them, like
Yeah.
directing them as a
It could be
photographer.
Jeremy Cowart has been doing
Oh, he's done
those.
that too. Okay, I know. I
Yeah.
didn't know Jeremy was doing it. That's really cool. And I think things like that are going to be. I'm excited just to see what people continue to come up with, because we're entering a weird time where it's like, okay, we may not, different cities and countries are doing different things in regards to ending the stay-at-home orders,
Yeah.
but there's still lots of gray area. There's still a
Sure.
lot of things that's missing. It's still okay. We can go to the park, but not the movies, or
Yeah. Yeah.
we can do this, or we can't do that. So there's
Sure.
still a lot of gaps, and I just hope that those gaps get just filled with love, and one expression of love is art and creativity,
Mm.
and that's my hope. So I'll be
Yeah.
sharing a little bit of that, and I can't wait to see what others come up with too. So
Oh, that's great. It reminded me of something you shared the last time we did this, where I think people might be surprised that you find inspiration in places that a lot of us might overlook, right? Like
yeah,
text messages with friends and family, things that we all have access to, right? So
yeah.
you're not off in some fancy people inspiration
Oh
land.
no, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I feel like I literally mention it on every live stream I've done. But the final 20 minutes of Toy Story 4, that has been one of the most healing things that I
I need
keep
to watch
going
it.
back to and being inspired by over and over and over again. So absolutely, yes, it doesn't have to be at some far off place. It
Wait, are
can.
you allowed to? I don't know if it's a spoiler alert, but for those of us that haven't seen it, can
Oh
you?
yes, I'll tell you the characters. It doesn't spoil it. It's Bo Peep and Gabby Gabby. You won't forget those names. So
Okay.
it's a moment that Bo Peep and Gabby Gabby have, and I mention it at least once a week. But it's just a moment of what vulnerability looks like in real time, and how it's okay to inch your way into it. And yeah, it's it's amazing. So
Oh,
highly
that's so good.
recommend.
But I think the hope I share that because hopefully people realize that maybe they can think differently or think
Mhm.
creatively, and not everyone's an artist, but even if it's just seeking out the beauty and the good and sort of the treasures that show up
Yeah.
in our conversations and our text exchanges. And to me, I think that's so neat. You obviously have your gifts that when you find those things and you're able to create and make things
Mhm.
that are even more beautiful. But I think we all have access to conversations and relationships, and so hopefully that's something that's encouraging, especially in a time when so much has been canceled, right? So many
Mhm.
things are limited, but I think you're able to kind of mine these things that we still have access to.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really passionate about that. It's possible to look at the ordinary and the mundane and find beauty in that,
Mm.
and it's it's all around us. And like you said, you don't have to be an artist. You can even just say like, I just really like that. I like the way this person said this. I'm gonna screenshot that, or I'm gonna
Yeah,
write that down just so I can remember it. Those things really do matter. They really
yeah.
do.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for being back with us.
Oh,
Obviously, thank
yes.
you for being a board member and talking about that experience. I love that for you it can be traced back 14 years,
Yeah,
and I think it's also really amazing how you stay in touch with that person, that girl that you were.
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm just so glad our paths crossed in
Yes,
that parking
literally.
garage.
Yes, literally, literally. So, yeah,
Totally.
that's really cool.
Well, thank you to Morgan. Thank you to all of you. Actually,
Thank you guys.
I'll let you go and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
But thank you for your time. And a couple of
Yeah.
people commented on your adorable little one. So
Aw, Jacob, our little Jacob. So
yeah,
precious. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. And yes, well,
absolutely.
happy rest of Giving Tuesday.
Thank you, Morgan.
All right, see ya.
Bye. So thank you once again to Morgan Harper Nichols. We are grateful for her support. Again, not just a supporter, but a board member, which is so exciting and so cool that Morgan is part of our board. I'll push this down a little. And then I'm just going to wrap it up with some announcements that we started with. Obviously, Giving Tuesday now continues. You can continue to give over on our website, TWLOHA.com. I believe TWLOHA.com/donate. If you have questions related to finances or donating, you can email donate@TWLOHA.com. If anyone from our team wants to comment with a link or two, that's great. And then we're in the middle of our Run For It 5K campaign, trying to raise $85,000. We are over $56,000 right now. And we're inviting you not only to give, but to participate. So to run or to walk. I always try to point out we have moms that push strollers. We have dads that push strollers. We've had people do it in wheelchairs. So it's not about how fast you are or it's not about winning or being the fastest. It's simply about participating and moving our bodies for things that matter, whether those are loved ones that we've lost, whether it's someone who's struggling, someone in recovery. We love seeing the stories and the reasons that people show up. And we can't show up all together as we typically would, but virtually, we love that this is still going to happen Saturday, May 16th. People running all across America, around the world as well. So learn more, runforit5k.com. My sister Jessica mentioned if you have questions related to donating, it's donate@twloha.com. We have a podcast mini-series that we recently launched, and that goes with our Black and White campaign for the month of May, for Mental Health Awareness Month. So we love sharing those episodes that my friend Chad Moses from our team has hosted. Check those out. New blog posts as well. Again, we have the Fear Won't Win landing page, which we've been updating throughout the last couple months. Everything from coloring book pages that you can print out to blog posts, podcast episodes, ways to pass the time, ways to spend the time that relate to self-care and prioritizing mental health. 320 Fest is coming up. I believe it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So May 8 through 10. And I am speaking on a panel, which is about social media in the age of anxiety. And so that panel will be this Saturday, May 9th at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. East Coast. So noon in the West, 3 in the East. And I am excited to be a panelist. A couple people Gracie's asleep right now, so I don't think she can join us to sign off. And then I want to mention we're going to come back Thursday for another TWLOHA at Home Instagram Live. Same time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I will be joined by the one and only Kevin Lyman. So Kevin is the founder of the Warped Tour. Many of you know his name. And Kevin is also the co-creator of this 320 festival that I just mentioned, which was going to happen in Los Angeles. It will now be happening online with people spread out all over. And I've been describing it as the intersection of music and mental health. To Linda Bennington, who is the widow of Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, to Linda and Kevin are the two folks that have worked with a whole team of people to put this event together. And just like with our 5K, we love that this event has not been canceled. It's going to look different, but it's still able to happen. And it's happening this weekend. So we're going to talk to Kevin Lyman. Warped Tour has been such a big part of the history of To Write Love on Her Arms. Kevin has been so generous and just so welcoming to so many charities over the years of Warped Tour, and we're proud of that part of our history. So it'll be cool to catch up with Kevin. He's also now a professor at USC, so it'll be cool to hear what that's been like. So join us 2 days from now, 4 p.m. Eastern, same time. I will be hosting on behalf of our team, joined by Kevin Lyman. And once again, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Over $4,200 raised, so $4,000 in the first hour, another $200 this time around. Thank you to all of our guests, Lindsay, Stefan, Chris, Morgan. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. I know we didn't get to many of those. And again, we're going to keep going one day at a time. We're going to get through this. You're not alone. If you need help, our friends at Crisis Text Line are available 24/7. If you're in the US, the number is 741-741. You can also reach out to them in Ireland, in the UK, and in Canada as well. You can find more information on their website, crisistextline.org. And we love pointing to our Find Help tool where you can connect with local resources. You could find a local counselor. You could also find an online support group. So even in this time when things have been canceled, when things are limited, you can still ask for help and you can still get help. And we know that is so important. That's the heart of the matter. Thank you for giving on this Giving Tuesday now. Thank you for allowing us, and thank you for partnering with us in this work that we continue to do. We continue to bring hope to people. We can continue to connect people to professional help, and we don't take those things lightly. We're super grateful. I say that on behalf of our amazing team that's spread out, working from home. Some are in Florida, some are in other states, and our friend Ruthie, who's still shipping orders out of our warehouse in Melbourne, Florida. Thank you guys for being a part of this community. Thank you for your support. And again, if you want to give throughout the day, you still can. TWLOHA.com. I believe TWLOHA.com/donate. And we are grateful for your support. Hope you guys have a good day, a good rest of the day. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. And we will see you on Thursday.